Hi guys, I'm Goretzka, and today we're going to be discussing the best midfielders in FIFA 23. Let's get into it. Like the attackers list we did, we will do a top 3 for the cams, centre mids and CDMs. We will also have a cheaper honourable mentions player as well, so sort of anyone like under a mil we will put for that position. Because midfielders are so diverse and it's hard to place whether you would deem one a cam or a box-to-box, the way I'll do it is this. If you imagine like a pro player's 4-3-2-1, the CDM is going to be the guy in the middle, the destructive guy that stays back. The box-to-box or centre mid is going to be the guy that you would have on cover centre with them, the more ball-playing box-to-box style. And then for the centre attacking midfielders, that's going to be like the person you would leave on balance that would venture forward and be a Trivela threat. That's the way we're going to think of each of these positions to sort of place the players. Starting off with our honourable mentions for the centre attacking midfielders, that's going to be none other than Flashback Kai Havertz, a really, really underrated card. This guy is one that I completed on this account, and honestly, he has one of the best Trivelas in the game. As far as left-footed Trivelas go, the only person that comes close for me is Team of the Season Salah. Really, really nicely formatted this card. You can go like Hunter or Hawk if you want to play him up front, or if like me, you do use him as a centre attacking orientated centre mid, you can go with the engine, make him all the more agile, and then utilise that base shot power and outside of the foot shot trait. Also has finesse, flair, chip shot, playmaker, technical dribbler, so lots going for this card. He's also 6'2", but he's still got that lean body type like a Talisca, so he still responds really well even though he is big and got that base 90 strength. Overall, just an amazing card, and for that Trivela threat, he's right up there with the best of them. Coming in with the bronze medal at the number 3 spot is none other than shapeshifter Felix. A really, really sort of underappreciated card, this one. He has that base defending, so he's got some competence still in the midfield to muck in. Great base stamina and jumping, amazing dribbling stats, great shooting, formatted still very much in a way where you can utilise Trivelas. He's got the outside of the foot shot trait, but he also has kind of those traits they added later on in the game, like the swerve pass, flare passes. So he's such a creative card, not to mention he's 5-star. He's got such a nice body type in game, the way he moves. Just honestly, this card has everything for that position. You know, that centre mid that's getting forward, mucking, overlapping, very much as much of an attacker as your front three. Just an amazing card, so underused, and he is expensive. Like, he's coming in at like 1.5 mil, which is potentially why you don't see many people use him. But yeah, this guy is a solid like number 3 spot for me. Just a really, really good card. At number 2, we have Team of the Season Musiala. This is a card I think a lot of people cottoned on to being like an obscene card in game. This man, like always, like it's going to be a common theme. I'm going to keep saying this, but Trivela once again, because that is kind of been the absolute staple of what makes a centre attacking mid so good this year, because they're generally played sort of off to the side in a 4-3-2-1. This guy's Trivela is right up there with the best of them. He is 5'4", not 5'5", but he has so much about him in game, just with his like the way he moves, his animations, that he does just edge Felix for me. Also, similar to Felix with the sort of amount of defensive capability that he has, absolutely maxed out stamina, and something about Musiala that is really good is he links with so many other meta cards. Like Bayern and German players have really been given a lot of good cards this year, particularly Bayern, I have to say. So, like, for example, De Ligt, considered one of the best centre-backs in the game, probably second only to Van Dijk. Like, you can instantly get, like, a double link off of him. You've got a league link and a Bayern link just with them two alone. So, yeah, he's found his way into so many people's teams because of his links, but also just because he's formatted so perfectly for this game's meta. As far as the traits go, outside of the foot shot, finesse shot, flair passes, technical dribbler, this guy's just got so much going for him. And on that right side, he is just a serious Trivela threat. Just an absolutely awesome card. I love Musiala in this game. Taking the number 1 spot for the best centre attacking midfielder on FIFA 23 for me is Team of the Season and Kunku. This is a card you don't see often, but I think it's because he's so expensive and you do have the likes of Musiala at a much more accessible price point. But Nkunku is just flawless for that position. He's formatted absolutely perfectly. High, medium, 5-star, 5-star, so he can do it all there. In terms of his in-game stats, formatted fantastically for Trivelas with the 90 shot power, 88 long shots. Of course, has the outside of the foot shot trait, as well as the finesse, flair, technical dribbler, and playmaker. Insane dribbling stats. The agility and balance, ball control and dribbling in-game is so noticeable. He feels so good on the ball. And to be honest, his strength feels like a bit of a lie as well. He feels so much stronger than 80 strength in-game. And because his base pace is so high, you don't necessarily have to touch his pace, and you can format him with a different chem style to get a more generous boost elsewhere. So yeah, Kunku is just phenomenal in this year's game. He's been priced out for most people, but no doubt this guy is one of the best centre attacking mids this game's seen. So for me, with what has served the meta this year, what has worked, and the way that people have used players, Kunku has to take the #1 spot. Next, we have our box-to-box centre mids. Now, there are tons of good players in this position, but I have narrowed it down to a top 3 and a nice, more affordable honourable mentions card. We'll start with the honourable mentions card, and that for me is going to be the new shapeshifter icon, Socrates. This card in-game is absolutely busted. It literally is Hullet 2.0. 4-star, 5-star, 6'4", high work rates. And then, yeah, just look at these stats. The defensive stats are actually better than Hullet, but obviously Hullet has a lot of really good animations in game that maybe Socrates doesn't have, but he definitely has his own that are super effective. 91 base pace, which is a good base stat, because with an anchor, you can basically max out that pace, physical and defending, for as much as you would need it in that sort of position. Great base dribbling for a man of his size, phenomenal passing, and honestly, this guy's shot in game, even though he's got good shooting stats, his shot in game is crazy. If you like doing those sort of like flick up volleys from range, like Harry Hesketh style, this guy is an absolute demon at them. As far as player traits go, flair, long shot taker, that is no joke. Power header, technical dribbler, and also the flair passes. An absolute animal in midfield, and honestly, for the coins, you are not going to get a better centre mid than this one. Moving in to our top 3 for the box-to-box centre mids. Now, we've got 3 monsters coming up here. So the fact this man is at number 3 is kind of crazy. That just shows you how good the other 2 are. But at number 3, box-to-box centre mid, we have Trophy Titans Zidane. Oh my word, this card is crazy in game. If you haven't tried this card and you can pick this card up, do it. If you can't, jump into draft and try and get him, because you need to experience this card firsthand. Just obscene. I would honestly play this guy up front and I wouldn't care. Like, he would do a job. Like, honestly, I think probably one of the most glitchy, physical, attacking centre mids in the game, but obviously plays that box-to-box role so well because this version has the high work rates. Obviously, Zidane has the 5-star, 5-star regardless. We know that about Zidane. He feels so much bigger than 6'1" in game as well. He's got such a physical presence. The shooting traits and stuff, like, he's only got finesse, but again, Zidane's just got so much about him in game. Kind of what you see here is irrelevant. Just think of how Zidane was as a player. That's how he plays in game, you know. This version, I do think, has the edge over all of his other versions. There's something about this one that stands out. Just, yeah. This card just plays like 99 everything. Like, if you play with this card in game and I told you this card has 99 everything, you would believe me. Like, that is how he feels in game. Just crazy. I actually love using him as a more attacking orientated player, but definitely for the way he's formatted, I think he has to be categorized as more of a box-to-box, and absolutely does an amazing job there. He's got way better defensive capabilities than his stats suggest because of his frame, and he's got that kind of glueness to him with the way he intercepts passes. Look at his short passing, long passing at 97 and 96, 97 vision. He's obviously got phenomenal shooting from range on either foot. Good stamina as well, paired with those high work rates, so he does last the game and put in a shift. Just an amazing card. This is probably my personal favourite off of this list for the box-to-box sort of players, but from a very trying being as neutral and as critical as possible, I think he takes the number 3 spot. Coming in at the number 2 spot, you knew he was going to be on here sooner or later, is none other than Team of the Year, Hullet. This man, obviously, when box-to-box sort of style players coming in, he's always going to make the list. 4-star, 5-star, not 5-star, 5-star, but Hullet dominates the midfield kind of like no other, really. His big frame, his presence in-game, phenomenal shooting from range. His defensive capabilities are so above and beyond what his stats suggest. His stamina is no lie. He absolutely just dominates from front to back. Player traits, this one does have finesse, speed, dribbler, playmaker, and power header, but it honestly feels like he has every trait in the game. Hullet is Hullet, and this is his best version. He had to be in here. He has the hair trait. He just has everything you want in a midfielder. And yeah, this card is just phenomenal in game. So coming in at the number 1 spot for the box-to-box centre mids, who beats Hullet, you ask? That is none other than Level Up De Bruyne. This man's new card attainable only to the absolute elites in this game, I'm afraid, because you have to buy the 98 to earn this one, and the 98 just costs an absolute bomb. But this card is just the absolute pinnacle of like a box-to-box ball-playing midfielder in this game. 5-star, 5-star, high work rates, 5'11", right-footed. Great start, 99 rated, can't really be going wrong there. Phenomenal defensive capabilities to what you actually need him to do. Absolutely maxed out physicals. As far as the dribbling is concerned, the reactions, dribbling, ball control and composure, all swift 99. As are the shot power and long shots if you want to be hitting them from range. And let's talk about that passing. 99s across the board, and they couldn't be more justified with the year this man's had, because De Bruyne has been an absolute catalyst in Man City's midfield this year, and honestly, this card isn't even like overdoing it for me. Just absolutely phenomenal card, and for me, it's just hands down the best ball-playing box-to-box centre mid we've seen this year, and I think it'll be the best we will see as well. I don't think any of these endgame cards to come that may be 98, 99 rated are going to perform better in-game than this one. An abundance of traits. Flair passes, swerve pass, outside of the foot shot, playmaker, long shot taker, long passer, and flair. Absolutely has it all, this card. Just absolute the pinnacle of the end game, and 100% takes the number one centre mid spot. Moving into our central defensive midfielders, starting with our cheaper honourable mentions pick. That is going to be the big man himself, end of an era, Sergio Busquets. This came in as an SBC around a month or so ago, and it's such a good card. He plays so good in game. He's really like composed and positionally just like perfect. It's like he plays with such grace. He doesn't have like that real physicality to him, but he never really gets like out-muscled either. It's a real weird one. It's kind of like how Rodri was for me last year on the Game His Team of the Season card, just like an absolute baller in the midfield. They really nailed this card true to how Busquets plays in real life, to be honest. Medium high work rates, which is obviously perfect for a DM. 4-star, 4-star, which is really nice to sort of manoeuvre with him on the ball. Great base pace for his position. Phenomenal defensive stats, literally maxed out with the shadow chemistry style, or an anchor like I have opted for, because that gets him onto a lengthy as well, which once again for a defensive orientated player in the middle of the park is another just notch, you know. It just makes him that bit better once again. Even got phenomenal attacking positioning if you want him to venture forward. Absolutely flawless passing as well, 99s on all the stats that matter there in the passing. Yeah, just a phenomenal card. So many 99s, and just genuinely a card that actually kind of nods to how good this man is in real life. So yeah, an absolute killer card that came in at a killer price. This 100% takes the honourable mention spot for me. Coming in at number 3, we have the big man himself, Patrick Vieira. This is a man that's kind of lost the spot as like the top DM in the game. He was always seen as like the guy, but in the last couple of years of FIFA, there's just been such amazing cards been brought in that position that have kind of seen this man fall off that top spot. But with this Trophy Titans card, he is still right up there with the best of them. 6'4", so an absolute unit. Medium high work rates, once again absolutely perfect for a central defensive midfielder. He is 3-star, 4-star, so not as much ability on the ball as Busquets, but that upgrade to his weak foot on this version is really nice, because the 3-star weak foot on his other versions is noticeable, to be honest. As far as his stats go, he is one of those where on the defensive stats, he doesn't look as stacked as other cards, but it's his animations in game that kind of separate him from other players. Amazing physicals from a man of his size. He's just such a good card. Vieira's Vieira, you know, you all know how this guy plays, and where CDMs are concerned, he always has to make the list. For our central defensive midfielders, coming in at the number 2 spot is a brand new card, and that is going to be Level Up Goretzka. Now, this card I haven't used yet. I've used his 95 honourable mentions, so I've got a really good feel for his AI. Now, I look at the way that one's played in game, and then I'm just sort of translating that to the stats and upgrades this one has had. He really is a DM with the way he plays in game, the way he's formatted. That really is his true position, because he has that big sort of lanky frame, that real large reach with the tackles. This one has had the 4-star skill move upgrade, which is fantastic. So he's got more ability on the ball, but he also has that 5-star weak foot, so he's going to be just consistent at distributing the ball out. As far as his in-game stats goes, a little bit like Vieira, the defensive awareness is a little bit lower than what you'd like to see for this position, but he just plays so above that in game. And like this card is exactly like Vieira in that regard. phenomenal physicals and base pace for that position, which I think is a large part of what makes him so good. As far as the player traits go, he does have the dives into tackles trait again, which really lends to that long tackle reach. He just gets things he shouldn't, you know. Swerve pass, long shot taker, injury prone, which is a bit annoying. And then he's got the flare passes trait as well. This card, like I say, is very much like a Vieira, but he's got more ability on the ball. He's got the dives to tackle straight, so he just kind of nabs things. So he does just edge Vieira for me. His work rates are backwards, but with a stay back instruction, that really isn't an issue, to be honest. And to be honest, it's just those little things like his work rates and stuff that do probably stop him, for me, from being the #1 spot on this list. But this is a very crank card. It's a 98 rated player that realistically is an out-and-out DM for the way he's formatted with the way this game plays. So a solid card, and definitely for me takes the #2 spot. Coming in as the #1 central defensive midfielder on FIFA 23, he's the man that dethroned Vieira as the best in that position. He's slightly better formatted than Goretzka. That is, of course, team of the season, Jude Bellingham. This man is just the absolute goat of the game when it comes to the defensive midfield position in FIFA 23. 4-star, 5-star like Goretzka, but he is high work rate, so he does put a little bit more of a defensive shift in with his AI. You don't have to force it out of him so much. In terms of his in-game stats, he has everything about him that Vieira and Goretzka have, except he does have much higher base defensive awareness as well, which really does kind of give him the edge there. Amazing physicals like the other guys, but exceptional base pace, shooting, passing, dribbling. Like, you really can play this man as a box-to-box or even an attacking-orientated centre mid if you want to, but the way his AI is, and the way he's formatted in game, and the way he plays, you're going to get the most for your money by playing him as that defensive role. As far as the traits go, he does have the dives into tackles trait like Goretzka, but he also has finesse, leadership, technical dribbler, and the flare passes. You kind of see Bellingham's, he kind of has the things that makes Vieira good and the things that makes Goretzka good, and he's kind of like a hybrid of the two. He's got that ball playing thing that Goretzka has, but he's got the better work rates like Vieira, and he's got just the best sort of base stats for that position. So Bellingham takes it. I think anyone that's used this card wouldn't really argue. I think people are pretty unanimous in the fact that Bellingham is kind of the DM of this game. He's just the best. He absolutely is the staple #1 this year. That is a wrap, guys, on the best midfielders in FIFA 23, in my opinion. I want you guys to let me down below who your favourite centre attacking mid is in FIFA 23, your favourite box-to-box centre mid, and also your favourite DM as well. If you did make it this far in the video though, guys, as always, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.